Good evening, everybody. Welcome to episode 2 of Exalted Illusions, our little foray into Pushkinian good society. Because, with Pushkin, we are not scraping the bottom of the barrel, but after Pushkin, it gets kind of dark and murky because it's like down to Leskov, Pasternak, and Dostoevsky, and I am just not convinced I know how to do Dostoevsky society yet. I am joined by my ridiculously talented and amazing cast, and they are all amazing, and the characters they've brought to this game are also equally amazing. So let's start introducing them. Why don't we start tonight with, my daughter in the game. So let's please welcome Daryl, and they are playing Princess Vasilisa Ivanovna Krasnogradskaya Valachova.
Hello, hello. My name is Daryl, and I am playing the aforementioned Princess Vasya. Vasya is the daughter of Princess Babette, who is our returning character from the previous game. Vasya is a young, bold, headstrong, and dare I say it, naive young lady of 18 who is completely convinced that the man that she was, understood to be going to be engaged to, that she met last summer, who she was fine with at the time, is now more boring than dirt. And she has she's convinced herself that rather than, a perfectly fine man who makes her laugh and has a stable income and, is not too bad to look at and all that other stuff is, completely not acceptable when she could have a poet. Yes, just a poet. That's basically about all she could say about him because she doesn't have that strong a foundation of what makes good poetry, despite the fact that her mother has tried to teach her such for a very long time. Maybe she'll finally come around to that. Who knows? Character growth. We'll see. Last time on our show, we had a country ball, and our poet said some very low-hanging fruit things about poetry that our princess took to be incredibly deep and poetic, as one does with poets. She has convinced herself that she's hopelessly in love with him, and she's trying to stave off the engagement that she feels as an impending doom cloud hanging over her head. That is further complicated by the fact that we received a letter from said almost fiance that was basically like, hey, we should get married sooner because then I can expense the honeymoon. Pretty sure that it was described as Vasya read that letter out loud in increasing volume and pitch until the entire household heard it. So that's where we left off last time.
Can you come to my Monster Hearts game? Because I always ask people, what did we do last week? And they're never that good. So, oh, fantastic. Yeah, this is going to be great. So why don't we move next to, I guess, Vazia's competition. So let's welcome Leandro, who is playing the Countess Natalia Sviatoslavovna Lenskaya.
Hi, so yeah, I'm Leandro, use he and pronouns. I should have figured that since you mentioned here that I'm once again at odds with Daryl. It's inevitable, I guess. Every time we're in a group, we're in a group. Who's to say? Let's see if we can subvert it. Yeah, the Countess Natalia Sviatoslavovna Lenskaya is a hedonist of ill repute. Specifically the result of a union between two families of ill repute, so double ill reputed. So she decided to lean in on that. A lot of history of scandal, compromise, and whatnot. But seemingly on the point of rising above that because she actually has a match. She's engaged. Yes, it's to a poet. The romantic who's making their way through life and maybe in means that aren't looked upon well in society, but it's the best she could hope for. But it's kind of not her biggest concern. Her biggest concern is basically trying to keep her life in the same kind of steady brew of general amusement, and that involves trying to get a rise out of who she considers her rival, good old Slava, but who's too busy settling down and becoming a teacher and all things. And it used to be so much cooler. So maybe she's not so concerned about this marriage just yet. I mean, apparently there's some princess over there who's interested in my to be, but well, I suppose I don't know. We'll see if it comes to the conflict. Like right now, Natasha is very much laser focused on making sure that life stays as fun and easy as it usually is, and yeah, it's going well so far. But it's only second session. Usually, like 2 sessions later, we're like, oh no. Oh, there's bombs are exploding, and life is more fraught up than it turns out. Such is the case of Russian society.
I mean, it's always worked out well for you when you play the carefree character that just wants to have fun. They never have like a dark and deep inner life or something that comes out, oozing slowly into the ground. So let's go next to my dear friend and longtime companion in arms in all of these, Serafina, and she's playing Count Ilya Ilyich Rostov.
Oh, Ilya. So yes, I'm Serafina, she, him, and I am playing Count Ilya Ilyich Rostov, Ilyusha, who, having just gotten to know the man in one session, he seems like the sort of person who's not super aware of either he's not super aware of the effect that he has on other people, or he is far too aware of the effect that he has on other people. Um, he's a poet, he sees the world a little differently than most. And up until this moment, and we'll see if this changes, he has been very much following along in whatever it is his parents want him to do. Um, but it seems like maybe that might be changing. We'll find out. Stay tuned.
I mean, but you always play such good boys.
They're all such good boys.
I know.
So I'm Richard. Hi, I am a game designer and a friend of Kat's, and I get to game with her very often, but I don't get to game with everybody else nearly often enough. I am playing Prince Stanislav Vladimirovich Kuznetsov, a young cousin of Babette, who is teaching in her school and quite happy with his life as a teacher. I mean, not always happy with his students, but quite happy with the day-to-day expectations of not being a person of society, while still maintaining all the advantages of being an aristocrat. He is quite secretly seeing a Bohemian diplomat named Antonin, who is representing the Prussians while in Moscow. That is, I think, everything we need to know about Stas, unless I'm missing something.
No.
Have I missed anything?
No, except that you're an exceptional designer, and I'm very, very lucky to have you at my table. I'm going to toss out there, is this maybe visits time?
Sounds good.
I mean, we mentioned a bunch of possible visits last time, that Ilya was going to come swinging by, and Babette was trying to sabotage that by inviting Natalia and her mom to come at the same time. And
I mean, is Ilya still gonna come by? Because wasn't his mother also like, don't you dare, or something like that? Like, stay in your lane. You have a fiance.
I definitely can't visit Vasya because my mom told me not to. And I even sent her a letter where I was very persuasive about why we should never see each other again.
Oh dear. So, which way do we
It was
want to
very-
take this? Do we want to take this where you convince your mom, or do you want to just do an assignation? Unplanned. It's completely unplanned. Just happened to be riding by.
Just happened to just sort of go past each other. I don't know. I don't know if he is the person who would be that intentional, but I don't know if Vasya is.
I mean, just saying, I did make an arrangement with my uncle where he would be the, happenstance chaperone should we ever cross paths, because then I could, honor my promise to my mother about always remaining above board, and also, hear more about, poetry and the life experience.
Yeah. So then let's think about the visits we'd like to see. I think we definitely need to see Natalia come over to the Valahova's house for something.
Yeah.
We honestly ought to see something with Natalia and Ilya too, probably.
Yeah.
I kind of want to like Natalia, not to keep adding more Natalia stuff, is to have her meet Vasya, just to like get the, see who's this. I don't know if she intimates that there's anything more gonna happen. The most she knows about Vasya is like, oh, Ilya got her running away in a heat, so to speak.
Yeah.
But I think
love the idea that I have maybe misunderstood Natalia as my rival. But then maybe that you like don't register me or something like that.
Did we? Oh no, we do have a rivals. I was gonna say, did we not have rivals this time? We always try and make it work.
Yeah,
we always try and have some rivals.
It never works right.
Yeah, look, Natasha's trying her best, but Stas has been resolutely not rising up to the challenge.
A one-sided rivalship with someone who actually really cares about you in these games?
Shocking.
Le shock, c'est moi.
I think I'm gonna have a heart attack and die from not surprise. To quote the great Iago.
You know what we could do is Babette could bring Babette could go over to could bring Vasya over to the Lenskaya home.
Yeah.
And then they could split up, and Babette could have an interesting conversation with Madame Lenskaya, and the kids can, do the 19th century equivalent of go up into their room and talk about boys, which seemed to involve an album of some kind.
Yeah, that'll be neat because again, Sophia's Babette knows Sophia's older sister, wherever Sveta may be. So I don't know, it could be something to talk about like that.
Yeah,
I like that. All right, let's do that. So it's I guess it's the Lenskaya's day when they accept callers. So maybe we open with Babette driving you guys there, driving Vasya there. Get on up there.
But we don't have to ride quite so fast.
I could go fast with Astrakhan mules, let alone ponies.
So let us just focus on arriving in one piece, and then we can compare horses all day long.
Youth is wasted on the young.
Mother, oh gosh, I need a name for a lady's maid. Where's my random names list? That's it. Mother, Olga spent a very long time getting my hair exactly right, and I don't want it to be windswept.
Very well. You girls with your modern hairstyles. Back in my day, it was much easier. Just wrap everything around a rat and toss it up there and leave it that way. You could go days like that.
So, well, Mother, that is not what the trends of Moscow and Petersburg demand nowadays. One cannot simply get by with having their hair in a twist for weeks on end.
Vasya, remember you should always remember to moderate your vanity. It's not sinful, but it is something that keeps you from focusing on the proper and good in life.
What is more proper and good than appreciating beauty? Isn't that what your poets always tell us to do?
Well, yes, and certainly Plato has opinions on this matter as well. Pulling up now in front of the Lenskaya house, Babette leaping down, throwing back her scarf, digging around, pulling out a parasol. It's like, well, what do you know about this Natalia? They say she's artistic.
I mean, very many women in Russia nowadays claim to be artistic, but truly we don't know if that means anything, do we? In fact, all I have heard recently of her is that she seems to revel in her own situation. So I have not had the privilege of meeting her face to face. This shall be my first time, of course.
All right. Well, since you want us to make a good impression, glasses on or glasses off, my dear?
Much as I would appreciate the effort, I do think it is probably beneficial that you be able to see our hosts, so please leave them on.
That depends very much on our hosts.
So I am trying what you said, Mother. I'm trying to moderate my vanity.
Clever girl. You're always so clever. So I guess we go in, drop our cards in she drops the card in the tray, and so where do we get ushered to in the Lenskaya house?
I think, because I just realized Daryl does also play my mom. So
Didn't think that one through. So
no, it's fine. Yeah, we just got to make sure we don't have to make you play two characters in the same scene.
It can just be Natalia first, and then
yeah. I think I think it's. The thing is, I don't know if it's Natalia who would agree to you. I don't know if she has that kind of decorum. She's probably gonna be made to show some decorum. I think you're all shown to a to a nice kind of sitting room. I think what you'd notice is this house is full of paintings. There's no rhyme or reason as to the acquisition of the paintings. It's just all right, here's some romantic neoclassic kind of paintings, not quite Bruliov as Natasha would call them, and then a series of just portraits of, not even if they're Lenskaya or Lensky kind of family, it's just more people, still lives and all that. I think what predominates is there's a ridiculous number of paintings. And I think I think it's Natalia who's going to be waiting at the sitting room. There is again, another big painting kind of predominates this room. It's a family portrait. Very say tastefully, but of the time, so it doesn't really stand out. It's Natalia and her mom and her dad, who's probably off somewhere abroad, let's say, Sviatoslav, and Natalia will just kind of like greet the two of you. It's like please um um Miss Lizaveta Nikolaevna, Vasya, welcome to the Lenskaya house. I apologize if perhaps our abode is perhaps more humble than what you're all used to, but well, we make do with what we have. I hope the trip has been fine for the two of you.
It has. I. Huh. That portrait of your mother, she looks younger in it.
Hmm. Oh yes, it's I think she kind of like blushes a bit and it's like yes, it's a bit distressing that we're painted to look quite the same age. I was told that the painter, a um, Mr. Yevgenyevich, well, he, I may I did tell him to perhaps flatter my mother. Perhaps it worked too well, but it seems a shame to let such a fine work go to waste. So, and well, um, perhaps I would hope my mother would appreciate having a few years put back into her, but I do
It's
believe she
just
looks quite well.
Sophia Viktorovna. Sophia Viktorovna Morozov? Was that her maiden name?
Yeah, yes. Of the
Ah,
well, I'm not sure if well, I suppose word gets around. Yes, those Morozovs. Yes.
I see.
Uh, the,
Oh,
specifically the damned ones. I think that's what they're
I,
called. The damned Morozovs. Yeah.
yes. Well, I don't put any faith in such things.
Well, as one shouldn't. I as much as family tends to fall in line in terms of their reputation.
Sure, Natalie, forgive me. My mind, it's always, well, ask Vasya. It's always in the next room.
My mother jests. She is of the unique occupation of knowing far too much about far too many things and far too many people, and sometimes they just appear, apparently on the paintings of walls of people's houses.
I suppose that just comes with age and experience. I would not. I cannot say whether that's a curse or a blessing. That's up to yourself, ma'am. Um, do you do you know my mother?
I don't believe I ever had the opportunity of meeting her, no. I mean, besides the party where we were introduced, we played cards together.
Yes. She was. Well, she was quite a I think I'm trying to find the words. No way would have it. It's just like for some reason my mind kept going like thrown. No, that's not. So we would say she was quite charmed by your presence. I believe her words were um, formidable intellect and even more formidable personality.
Well, she flatters me. Um, is she receiving today?
Oh yes.
Well,
She just had to. She was just busy taking care of some morning rituals, so to speak. She'll be here soon.
well,
Um,
then I will await her in the parlor, and you two girls should go off and discuss things. I'm sure you have much to talk about.
well, if that's okay with you, Vasya, I'll I'll take you around the house and well, what grounds we have. I'm sure. I hope I hope to have an enlightening conversation with you.
And I appreciate the hospitality, Countess Lenskaya. I would be happy to tour the grounds.
Just realized Daryl is going to be like going back to back to back to back.
We can cut some other people in.
Oh yeah. Um, Splendid. I hope you wouldn't mind that you're probably going to be seeing far more paintings than you're used to, but well, that's just my little predilection. I hope you wouldn't mind. What we lack in perhaps natural beauty, I've attempted to make up for artistic beauty. And I hope my eye, my eye is as discerning as I believe it to be. But don't be afraid to pass judgment, Miss Volkova.
Countess Senskaya, I assure you that despite my mother's best efforts, I find myself to be a fan of most anything and everything. I'm sure you could show me what you might find to be the most rudimentary of paintings, and I would find something to worship about it.
I'll be glad to know. I'll be glad to find out soon. We'll take leave of your mother. My mother should be here soon. I hope that she won't keep you waiting, madam. I think oh god.
No. Just like, do not worry, Cher Natalie. I have literally nothing else to do except to return Vasya today.
Yeah. I think I think they close it there. That's okay. Do we want to cut in someone else, or
Oh, we could cut in another visit. We could go over and see what Ilya. Oh, wait a minute. Did I hear correctly that Vasya is using Stas as her go-between between her and Ilya?
I believe that was the case.
Well, then, I have a visit, I think. Could we see Stas?
So the boys are somewhere else.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's do Stas and Ilyusha. Does that sound good to you, Richard?
Sounds good.
All right, let's do it. Where do we hang out, do you think? Or like, do you come see me, or do I come see you?
Give me a second.
Yeah.
And you're pursuing Natasha, correct?
I'm
Natalia?
sort of engaged to be engaged. Like I haven't put a ring on it. But people have supposed, and my mother really wants me to.
I suppose there's been discussions out loud, but no formal proposal.
Right? Yeah. No, I haven't done that.
So do we meet in a club?
Okay.
Like playing billiards, an English style club?
Yeah.
I was going to say gentleman's club, but that implies something else to modern ears.
Yeah.
So a club means that there must be a moderately sized city somewhere near this horrible country estate.
Oh wait, we're still in the
country. Yeah.
Unless you're at somebody.
Oh, so I'm going to go to your house then.
Okay, great.
Do you want Antonin in that scene, or do you want to do this alone?
Why don't we have Antonin there?
Okay.
As comfortable or as uncomfortable as he would like to be.
Do you want it that? Is it possible that maybe I'm staying with our friends, the Rustlos?
I'm okay with that.
Or
that's
actually, like, how do you know Antonin? That's like probably the question.
I assume, however, gay men meet each other in 1830s Moscow. There is always a way gay men meet each other.
So maybe he's an aide de camp for a Russian. They're doing one of those kind of officer exchange things. So he's serving as an aide de camp. Cool. Does Ilya have any brothers? Zena?
Oh, does Ilya have any brothers? Sorry, my brain. Yeah, I actually think I'm gonna actually have family members now. I don't
Cool.
normally even bring family into these things.
So maybe Antonin knows your brother, like they're in the same regiment.
Yeah.
Because you
Yeah.
have to have the military brother and you have to have the poet brother.
Well, there's the military brother, there's the poet brother, there's probably at least one of us who's going into the priesthood.
There's some mousy sister somewhere.
There's definitely a mousy sister. And there's a dazzling sister, but I think she's already married.
So
Big family.
Let's set this up that we're in your billiards parlor when Stas arrives.
Yeah. It's like after dinner. Like we've eaten. We have cigars.
So my only question is, which one of us is leaning across the table to get that shot, and which one of us is just watching?
I'll be objectified. That sounds fun.
Cool. Yeah.
Also, can I assume that I was supposed to be there for dinner but did not make it?
Yes.
I'm into that. Yeah, that sounds great. Yeah.
It might be mildly inconvenient for Ilyusha, but would probably annoy the hell out of Antonin.
Yeah, so I guess
Ilyusha doesn't really care that much.
I look up from where I'm chalking up my cue. Vidimovich, you finally arrived. I had to start the billiards game with Rostov here.
I am so sorry. I had to attend to some things around the planning for the next semester. Some books arrived that I had wanted to, and then, losing track of time.
Well,
Ilyusha, you understand, I'm sure.
Oh, one must never come between an intellectual and his books.
I had no idea you regarded me as intellectual.
Well, as intellectual as one can be in your position.
Thank you.
And he's sort of like he gives you
remind me.
He gives you a big grin, like to show that it's a joke.
Natasha likes to remind me that I am squandering my talents by teaching at a school for young women.
Ah, yes, the Countess Natalia, the great beauty that you're getting married to, Rostov.
Now. And he like lights a cigarette. The door hasn't closed quite yet.
What language are we speaking?
That was in French.
Oh, okay.
If nothing else was in French, that line was in French.
Yeah. I think Antonin, though, has deliberately adopted English address customs, which is why he's calling you by your last name, because now you're such good friends.
Mm-hmm. Yes, no, the door hasn't closed just yet, although my mother in a letter very recently made it clear that it has to.
Has to?
Wait, your mother has told you that you need to close the door. Were you planning not to close?
Oh, I don't know, friends. Up until this moment in my life, I have always been a person who does what is expected of him by his family. I am the oldest son. I am the one who is supposed to carry on the family name. And so I have walked directly into the place where they would have me be, which is to say, engaged to a woman of quality. Or almost engaged. But I don't.
You were about to say almost quality. Natasha is an extraordinary person.
I mean, there's nothing to dislike about her, is there?
I mean, if you're on her good side, there's nothing to dislike about her, and you've always been on her good side.
And you have been at one point.
Oh, no. She's always found an excuse to critique everything I do. I adore her like a sister. I mean, I adore her more than I actually adore my own sisters.
Yes. I wonder sometimes if it's that she's too perfect.
Natalia Lenskaya is too perfect.
Well, on the surface, she's everything a man could want.
You must introduce me to this girl, then.
Oh. All right, so you're looking to get married?
It is difficult, my friend, to get promoted if past a staff captaincy if one does not have a wife to ignore and neglect.
That's what they're for, is it?
In the military, quite often, yes, my dear Count.
Ilyusha. I can tell you that Natasha does not enjoy being ignored and neglected.
Oh, Rostov would never do that. I'm sure he would be a homebody around her.
Oh, please don't curse me so. I do have things to do.
Aren't you a scribbler? Don't you just normally stay in your room with your dogs?
I do not believe
What are you?
that. What?
No. Finish that.
I do not believe that you understand what the work of scribbling, as you so demean it, entails.
Fair enough. I'm not a particularly poetic individual. I have a certain capacity with the love letter.
Of course you do. But if you...
A certain capacity with the love letter?
Oh, yes. Absolutely, Stanislas.
And ambitions to exceed beyond staff captain.
Well, the future is hard to predict, my friend.
Yes, but at any rate, one cannot sit
can't.
home and hope to succeed in that way. You're going to have to find yourself a wife.
I suppose. If I can find one with some money, perhaps.
Well, you're in the wrong area of the countryside for that.
I'm in the wrong area of the countryside for anything except hunting bear or wolf. Now, do you know anything about whether or not I can hunt some bear or wolf? Because I would definitely be interested in either one. Do you hunt, Count?
I do.
What about you? What about you, Stas? Are you up for a hunt?
I have told you before I would take you shooting.
Ah, well, shooting.
So bear.
Shooting for
Bear
bear.
is a little beyond my skill.
I shoot for game all the time, but yes, bear is a different matter. We'd have to organize it with all the local squires.
Well, there are certainly men around here who would leap at the chance.
To hunt for bear, I assume.
Yes. I mean, they'll hunt anything on 4 legs and some things on 2. The challenge, that sort of thing.
The Count is making a slightly risque comparison, I believe, to his current difficulties.
I do not know what you mean.
Of course not.
Perhaps you should amuse us all by perhaps showing off your skill with the love letter.
But wherever shall my target be, my dear Vidimovich?
Oh, pick one. Let it be in your mind. That's the only true target. After all, Ilya has written to audiences that were unrevealed to the actual readership.
But Ilya is a poet. The writing of a love letter is not a public affair, Stas.
Ah, well.
It's an intimate experience to touch another person's mind directly, using only the
I walk
words.
over and get myself a drink.
It's not mere poetry, which must be addressed to the universal. A proper love letter must be addressed to the person one has in mind particularly. And I look at you with my dark, flashing eyes.
Hey, Ilyusha, would you perhaps be so good as to make me a little vodka? I'm feeling parched.
Of course. He hands you over a glass. I do not see a way out of my current difficulties with my mother, but there is a part of me that is interested in finding out what other options there are. But then am I being cruel?
Options.
What about the daughter of that mad woman who just moved in? They say she's rather pretty to look at.
Oh, Babette. She's not a mad woman.
My cousin Babette.
That's your cousin Babette? I just heard the Princess Yelizaveta, and I just figured she was some homebody from Moscow.
No,
Do you know
she's
she
a
nearly
rather
ran me off the road the other day?
she's a rather interesting creature.
Are you
I get the
talking
sense that
about
there's
the? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Oh no, I get the sense that there's more than meets the eye there. She's an older woman, and she seems to have much experience in the world. There's something behind her eyes.
My dear Rostov, it sounds almost as if you'd rather make love to her than her daughter.
Well, her daughter is, like most young women, new to the world.
I
And
heard she's
there is
exceptionally
something,
pretty.
well, there is something wonderful about her interest. It comes from a place, and I do not mean this in a disparaging way, of naivete, of newness.
So allow me to understand, Rostov. An 18-year-old girl has fallen head over heels about you, and you are having difficulty sorting out what it is you should do now.
What do you mean?
Could this be handled discreetly? If so, I say you should make love to her.
Are you suggesting, sir, that I take advantage
We
of the
are
honor
talking
of a
about-
noble woman of our company?
And my cousin,
Yes?
Maris.
Well, very well. I'm
My
sorry.
cousin.
We are in the country. You'll forgive me. In Petersburg, this would be much easier. In Praha, it would be astonishingly easy, and I assure you, my dear boys, in Milan, it would already have happened.
Many things are easier in Prague.
And Ilya has a certain intensity that seems to close the conversation for him when he looks at Maris and says, "Simply because something is easy does not mean it should be done, my dear fellow."
Count, forgive me. I feel I may have offended you in some manner. I've been too long in the service of your army. I have grown crude in polite society.
You are forgiven. It is merely that I do not see a woman's virtue as something to trifle with, nor my own.
It sounds to me, dear Count, that you may have more of an attachment to this Vasilisa than you yourself are aware of. And a word to the wise, I was in the wrong there. But I normally do not respond to being addressed in that tone. I'm sure you understand.
He pours himself another vodka and says, "Oh, I understand you very well."
Good, then. Well, shall we play another game of billiards, or perhaps some cards? Or Stas, must you already leave? Shall I ride you back to your cousin's place?
I was thinking of staying here for a good bit longer.
Oh, well, then I must show you the quarters they've provided me. They're excellent.
I would very much enjoy seeing your quarters if Ilyusha can excuse us.
Yes, I should check in on my mother and the children. Perhaps I will catch up with you afterward.
Good evening,
Thank
then,
you,
Count.
Ilyusha.
So as we go up the stairs, I just lean over to you, Stas, and go, was I very, very wicked? Are you very, very upset with me?
Your ability to loosen up is noted, but do be careful what you say about my cousin.
You will have to forgive me. I thought she was some mere provincial.
Perhaps you should think more highly of the provincial. You, after all, are interested in hunting bear.
Yes.
I
Would you like me to
gesture at
tell you
the,
how I plan to
at the-
do it?
I gesture at the large taxidermy bears that are standing guard over the top of the staircase.
Well, that's
Yes,
certainly.
I think perhaps if there is a desk in the quarters they provided you, you could perhaps illustrate things for me.
I would find that delightful. Do we want to see Sofia Viktorovna and Babette talking over tea,
I would
I'm down.
love to.
like nobles do?
Sure thing.
So like, how does this work? Do you have another parlor that I go to, or?
Yes, I think that we do. And this one is much more normally appointed. I think that I have not allowed my daughter to just run roughshod over my own artistic and decorative style. So the paintings in here are much more classical. You can tell that they are much older. You can tell that they are, more in line with, a contemporary, like not a contemporary, like a more traditional style. Um, and of course, I have the staff who have brought in the tea and everything like that. And I'm probably there in something that looks very, like formal, but also well lived in. So you can tell that it's been taken care of over the years, and that it must be a favorite gown, but also one that I've had for quite a while.
Countess Sofia Viktorovna. I know we met briefly over the card table, but I'm so pleased to be in your home today.
Oh, Princess Volokovna, you don't have to, you don't need to stand on such circumstance here. We're here to be friends. And of course, this is the country. This is not Petersburg. So please call me Sophia.
I feel that perhaps we may have met at some point, but I do not recall.
I certainly think that if we had met, you would have recalled. Unfortunately, as my daughter is very fond of saying, we originally came from a family of ill repute, one might say. We have, of course, clawed our way up a bit.
I wouldn't say that. Well, with no disrespect meant, your late father perhaps merited. If that was your father, I think I knew your sister.
Svetlana?
Svetlana Viktorovna, yes. Yes. Fedorova, yes.
Well, Russia is as wide as the day is long, and yet still somehow such a tiny little place.
You'll forgive me, Countess, but have you heard anything from her?
Oh, Sveta, it has been a few years since I have last received her letter. She writes very infrequently, and to be honest, I don't know if my responses ever find her. She and her companion have been gallivanting across the continent for years and years now. She
then-
seems to be doing well.
Then she is well. Oh, good. Oh,
So,
good.
how did you know her?
Well, she was married to a dear friend of mine, and I call him my brother. He was my late father's godson. Was married to her friend, Vasilisa Ivanova. But that was long ago. I don't wish to. The ground is so cold in Russia that one can dig up corpses anywhere. Your daughter is lovely. She reminds me somewhat of your sister, and I mean that as a compliment. Svetlana Viktorovna was one of the smartest women I've ever met.
Too smart for her own good by far, and I assure you that her niece has inherited all of that. I cannot convince Natasha to do anything.
Yes. Well, I didn't mean to. I didn't mean to drag unpleasant memories.
Oh, it's all water under the
And
bridge.
she and the Count Rostov, the attachment is strong. You expect him to propose?
Oh, yes, very soon. We are hoping for a summer wedding, I believe. I have largely left it to happen on its own. I know that Natasha cannot be convinced of anything, and therefore I must let her come to my decisions on her own time.
So you are of a family that believes that this should be arranged by the parents.
For the most part, I genuinely do think that the Count Rostov is a good match for her. They are of similar temperaments. Well, you are not from the country, so of course you would not be terribly invested in them, but I assure you, they are of very similar temperaments. I find them to be incongruous in all the same ways.
Incongruous in all the same ways. Yes. Well, that could be that could form a strong match. Yes. Now, what do you think of Count Rostov?
Oh, he is. I find he's a man of letters. I have not terribly read anything that he has written, to be honest with you. I find poetry exhausting, but uh, he seems
Our
cordial.
eyebrows arch right up to her forehead.
Yep. So, and Sophia just continues on with, without even noticing, and says, "I find poetry to be exhausting, to be completely honest with you. But he seems a good man. He has been cordial with Natasha. He has been present with her. He has answered every question, and he's a lovely conversationalist. And he is what's more above scandal, which cannot be said about every young man in this area."
That is to be prized. I of course, I married a foreigner, and therefore there's always a small taint of scandal, even though he converted for me. So there's not even a question of that.
Well, as my daughter continuously reminds me, we live in a modern Russia, and such things are bound to wash away with the tides of time. But enough about Natasha. I feel like I've been talking about Natasha for an hour now. What about your own daughter? You are also arranging something for her, as I understand it. We talked last time at the card table.
Well, there was a young man who expressed some interest. I think there are a few questions that remain to be seen. He certainly seems like an amiable and a man with a good career ahead of him. It's difficult nowadays. You and I are of a generation where our mothers tried to arrange everything, and it was always just a foregone conclusion. And perhaps in some families, the young lady had the right to refuse a match, but in other families, not even that. And now today, people are much freer to form love matches in many houses, but then it becomes even more difficult because nobody knows how that's supposed to actually be enacted. In France, they've been doing that for so long that it's habitual to them, but in Russia, it's very new. And so we seem to have the worst of two worlds.
What is good
I
for the
wrote a
French?
little treatise about it.
What is good for the French is not always good for the Russians. If this man answers 80 questions out of 100 satisfactorily, then convince your daughter that she could find something far worse off. A love match. What does that guarantee nowadays? It doesn't mean anything. Is love supposed to put a roof over your head? Is love supposed to put food on the table? Is love supposed to convey access to the spaces one must be in? No, no. It is far better to arrange something equitably and find your happiness there. It is the true way of things.
Your match was not a love match?
What is there to say about love? You choose to love. Of course, my husband has his foibles. Of course, my husband has his caprices, but I have chosen to love him. And as far as companions go, I could have done much worse. Surely he has grown a bit ruddy with time, a bit rounded, but he is companionable and he keeps me well insulated against the inconveniences of the world. And he's not a bad conversationalist, though I do appreciate that you are here today and this season.
I am enjoying it greatly. It's been so long since I was in this part of the country. I'm sorry I'm so distant. I do not mean it, dear Sonia. You'll forgive me for being so informal, but I feel I know you somehow. I am terrible with this. I was raised in 3 different countries and have never quite learned how to be polite in any one of them at the same time.
My dear, I think that you're doing perfectly fine, even if you don't have quite the breadth and experience that a Russian-born woman has. You have done more than enough to endear yourself to me. Now, I know that you are staying with Lydia Vladimirovna, but if you do feel like you would like to return to this part of the country, feel free to stay with us, perhaps over the summer.
That may very well be an offer that I will be very kindly disposed to accept. Obviously, much depends on my husband's duties and whether or not Vasya is going to get married.
That's right. Your daughter is named Vasya, isn't Vasilisa?
Yes.
Russia gets smaller every day. That is the name of my friend's traveling companion. Oh.
Yeah, my brother's wife. Yes.
Oh, your brother's wife. Oh, I see.
Yes. They obviously have been long separated.
Well, then truly, we are as fastest friends as we can be. We have such close ties without even knowing it.
Practically sisters.
Well, that being the case, then I must certainly insist that you come and stay over the summer, especially because at that point we might have taken leave of our matronly responsibilities to set our daughters up with adequate matches.
That would be useful. Well, I suppose I should go collect Sunya and we should return before the roads completely ice up. She is such an old woman about how fast I drive.
So, I'm sure that she's making much ado about nothing. But if you do need to stay for the night, of course we will be happy to arrange the rooms.
Thank you. You're very kind, Countess. Do we see any more visits, or do we want to see more of Natalia and Vasya? Do we want to see? Is there going to be an assignation, or is that enough for this novel chapter?
I feel like I have to. I feel like apparently I think this might just be my starring episode because I feel like I have to talk to at least 2 more people.
Okay.
Yeah.
Get on.
Hello.
Hello.
I'm not muted anymore.
So, it's a nicely charged little atmosphere we're building up in this one.
Yeah, no, the gay vibes are real.
Well, so the Vasya show, huh?
So the way I was thinking is I'd like a little like Vasya and Natalia. Natalia. And then if Ilya is going to show up, then Ilya and Natalia could have a moment, and then Vasya and Ilya could chat. If that's the way that we flow, or I just do all the talking, and that happens.
I'm not against this plan.
Yeah. And it's like that first iteration of Chekhov Society where every character got like a spotlight session. This is just Vasya's.
This is Vasya's spotlight moment.
Yeah. Let's do Natalia Vasya. Probably enough to like get Vasya thinking not murder at Natalia, but enough.
Not murder.
No, like I mean, okay, someone in I keep forgetting how to pronounce the name of this Pushkin like work that I'm reading. Like, Onegin, yeah. Someone does die there. If I remember correctly. So
yes,
and also like of
the character's
everyone...
name is Vladimir Lenski. That's the one who dies.
And
so I think we're taking a walk around like the house, going out of the estate. You've seen enough of the of all the paintings, and I think Natalia's explained that like her philosophy with acquiring art and placing it anywhere is like she doesn't have time to have everything cohere. So what she does is she just puts her most recently acquired painting at the end. So so you you reach the end, and you can see like there's not much space left for more paintings really, in the house. Um, I think we end on a nice, beautiful, like naturalist kind of like landscape right next to a very romantic painting of some dude sitting on a chair. Um, it's fine. I think that Natalia, finished explaining, and we'll kind of like launch to the next topic, and just gonna say, I I had hoped meet to meet you at the previous party where our mothers were acquainted. I'd actually been entreated by your cousin Stas to um, lend you a drink, but unfortunately I failed in that endeavor. I do apologize for that.
Uh, Please consider it water under the bridge. I was much indisposed towards the end of the evening.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I was wondering about that actually because I didn't want to um, you know muck about in terms of what I'd seen there, but if you don't mind me asking, I do believe I did see you in a spot of distress, um, and you were forgive me for saying so, but you were running away from the dance floor. Um, um, I hope there's I'd hope there's a more delicate way to put it, but was was there something wrong? What distressed you?
Forgive me. You did seem to catch me at a most inopportune time. My mother does say that I can be rather impulsive. You see, I'd been dancing with a young man, and he said something that just resonated with me to such a degree that I found myself in drastic need of fresh air.
Oh, well, I'm not a stranger to such reactions. I do find that, especially in the dance floor, one tends to get heated, being in such close proximity to others of perhaps similar interest. Do you mind me asking, this young man you were dancing with, was it anything they did that caused such a reaction?
I had just been asking him questions about poetry. You see, as much as my mother has prompted me, I have not been one to labor too heavily under the assumption that I should know much about poetry, and yet I have discovered something in this man's poetry that I feel I had been missing. It seems to have somehow awakened the interest in me. And so I was asking him after his craft, and he said something to me that seemed so simple and at once so profound. He told me about how I shall never be able to do it justice, you see, but he said something along the lines of how beauty was to be found in everyday moments, in the human expression, and and I had never quite thought of it that way before.
I think like Natalia has this kind of like placid look of like, huh, fascinating. And I think she'll just say, well, forgive me for saying so, Princess Ivanovna, but it seems to me that this young man has had a rather profound effect on you.
I wouldn't say a profound effect. It is. It is very uncertain where one finds inspirations nowadays, and it could be found upon the dance floor with a random stranger. It could be in a garden such as this. It could be looking at the paintings of the gallery that you have just walked me through. Eclectic and ephemeral sources pop up everywhere.
Well, I do quite believe in that as well, Princess Ivanovna. I always find that when passion strikes, if it is truly warming, one should stoke it, lest you be left cold by the end of it, because the fire often fades, but I always found the best part is when it is raging. Um, Please don't mind me saying so. Don't let yourself second guess whatever it is that has woken up within you, um, princess.
Countess Lanskaya, I'm afraid that if you understood uh, exactly who I am speaking of, that you would say quite a different thing. Um, I must confess to you that the gentleman that I was dancing with that night was the Count Rostov.
I think I don't have the papers left over, but I think Natalia knew that already because she saw you run away from him. So everything she's saying, she already knew that. I think she'll just so I think she'll just say, "Oh, do not worry, Princess Ivanovna. I do have eyes. I did notice who it is that you had. It is that you had run away from, and I suppose the distress is because of um my own relationship with the young poet."
It is my understanding that you have something of an arrangement with the poet that is simply more than an arrangement. You are intended to be married, are you not?
Well, let's just say there is, and I kind of want to be upfront with what I'm trying to do here. Natalia's trying to, Natalia is maybe not intentionally or unintentionally trying to plant up seeds in Vasya's mind that can tell her, "Oh, I can get in on this." So Natalia's gonna say, "Well, let's say there is a door that is on the perpetual edge of closing, and perhaps all it needs is a little push from one end of the relationship to completely close it and affirm it." Um, I'll leave it up to you to guess to which side needs to make the leap, so to speak. Forgive me again, Princess Ivanova. I don't have young Ilya's way with words. I'm mixing up metaphors. Left, right, and center. Yes, we do have.
Then let me ask you outright, Countess. Do you intend to break your understanding with the Count?
Well, I have no reason to. After all, there's a well-calculated reason why our mothers made the match. Apparently, I have a reputation, and he matches my reputation. So I'm fully incentivized to pursue and close the marriage. Although I suppose in doing so, I would be pouring more undue stress upon yourself.
Fully incentivized. Countess, do you have feelings for the Count, or do you see this merely as an advantageous arrangement?
I think Natalia makes like a show of like thinking it like she's looking at the sky and just kind of like there's always a chance of feelings developing, but let's be brutally honest with each other, since you've been so honest with me, Princess Ivanovna. As of my interactions with the Count, he's pleasant, charming when he wants to be, and ever so gentlemanly. Perhaps if he puts the same amount of effort in conversing with me as he did with you, perhaps mayhap some feelings may bloom. But then no one has to question where such feelings bloom, whether that is there's the result of resonance between two such people, or is merely an effect of his prowess with words?
Katasanskaya, you have spent a lot of time saying that you could be incentivized to care for the Count. And yet here I am standing before you to confess that I already do. I would ask why you should hold on to a match that you see only as advantageous in the most germane of senses, when in fact maybe you should consider that there is a better match out there for you, someone who does not make it sound as if you are entering into a business proposition. Perhaps you should seek out someone who inspires more towards your matrimonial ideals than, some sort of fine speech targeted in your direction to sway your capricious heart.
I think I think maybe this is near the point where Ilya can show up. I think Natalia just kind of gives this look as this smile grows on her face. It's more disdainful than she meant it to be. She kind of says, "Perhaps put that way, it sounds terribly cold, Princess. Even though and yet I cannot help but wonder how a chance meeting in a dance floor and a few choice words could be any less capricious a romance."
I think that's the perfect cutaway point. I think we have both kind of like verbally bitch slapped each other. And
Yeah.
Yeah, that could be the point where you hear, Sonia, it's time to go.
and then and then
Eto na.
and at that, hearing your voice, I raise up and I turn to Countess Lenskaya and I say, "It appears that we have found ourselves at an impasse. I wish you good day, Countess, and though I do hope that we can come together again as friends, as it seems our mothers will have decided that we shall be spending more time together."
Well, one need not have to follow our mother's decisions. Good day, Princess.
Hot damn. Hot damn.
And I just turn and walk away.
Everything's fine.
I told you, it's rivals all the way down.
This was inevitable. Look, we just got to.
Vasilisa is the princess of the impertinent flounce. Yeah, so how are we going to put Ilyusha and... Well, actually, Richard, you wanted to have a scene with Ilyusha, yes?
No, I was thinking that Rostov and Vasya should have a scene together.
Okay.
I'm glad to play the intermediary to arrange. Oh, my cousin's going to go riding with me.
Sorry,
I had already offered to play the.
Yeah.
I'm more than happy to play the intermediary, but I don't need to really be in the scene.
That's fine.
I can easily arrange, if you need one, a writing party, and then we just so happen to meet Ilyusha. Ilyusha, what are you doing here? Well, now that you're having a ride on,
Bye.
ahead.
I mean, yeah. How do you want to do this, Daryl? Since we're just gonna let the fiddler call the tune tonight.
Goodness. I mean, I feel like this could come a few days after that or something like that. We don't have to worry too much about it. Maybe the boys are out riding and we're picnicking, or no, it's winter. Maybe I'm out for I'm sitting in the garden for whatever reason, or by a greenhouse or something. Well, of course, they've just come back from a ride, and we're in the greenhouse at the house that we're staying at. Does that work?
Yeah. Ilya was forbidden to visit, but after all, he's with Stas, so he has no choice.
I'm not visiting anybody. I'm just walking around. Riding around.
Yes, definitely
Not riding
to see me or
Stas.
anything.
What?
Definitely not to see me or anything.
No, not at all. Nope.
So I think that, probably as you're, clapping off the mud off your boots or something like that, and you've come into the greenhouse to escape the cold, and you find me there with like a small volume of Moliere tucked in the corner, because now, of course, I am trying to read it and, make my way through it because I'm trying to learn more about poetry.
Awesome. Yeah, I think I can't resist the draw, and I sort of I kick the mud off of my boots, and I take a few steps towards you, and just say, "Well, isn't that scandalous for a young woman to be reading alone in a garden?"
You see, Count Rostov, how surprising to see you here. Of course, there's no need to worry. The greenhouse is attached to the house, and my mother and the girls are doing lessons in the main wing.
I was only teasing.
Oh, of course. What brings you here? Have you been riding with Stas?
Yes, although I'm afraid that we were destined not to hit anything out here in this fog.
Yes, it is rather a poor day, isn't it? We were hoping it would clear up, and yet somehow it's...
Hold on, sorry. Siri thought I was talking to her, and so I didn't hear the first of what you said. Sorry.
No, it's fine. It says, of course, it is rather a dreary day, isn't it? We were rather hoping it would clear up, but it seems not to be that.
No, so I suppose this is a good place to retreat. And he's, now he's sort of talking to you, but he's looking at the flowers, like he's touching them and stopping and smelling a few of them. Makes one think it's still spring outside.
Lydia Vladimirovna is very proud of the garden in here. She's cultivated a number of flowers and somehow manages to keep a few fresh all year round.
That is impressive. I've never had the hand for growing things myself.
Are your words and poems not things that you grow under your own hand?
He like glances at you and nods a little and says, I can see that point. But they don't need me to pay attention to them every day and make sure that their roots don't rot. So tell that to my geraniums.
Of course, I see. Well, I must say I was rather disappointed to receive your letter. I was rather looking forward to hearing some of those poems.
Yes, my mother has very specific ideas of the sort of life she wants me to have.
Well, of course, I have no intention of interfering with those specific ideas. I merely admire you as a fan of your work.
Well, that is kind of you. I probably should not talk of such things with people that I do not know very well, but I occasionally wonder if the things my mother wants are not slightly at odds with my own actual lived needs.
Sometimes I find that our parents don't seem to understand what it is we need nearly as much as they understand what they want us to need. I was talking with Countess Lenskaya the other day and found that we had much in common about that idea.
It's interesting to think of your mother as someone who would not know what you need. She seems like a very worldly person.
Oh, indeed she is. She's very intelligent and she's very well read and she has many ideas about many things. And unfortunately, sometimes we just don't line up in the same ways.
I wasn't aware that you were that well acquainted with Countess Lenskaya.
Oh, it is a recent friendship. However, I do feel that we have become quite close. We speak very candidly with each other.
Oh, well, that's nice. She is a fairly candid person, I find.
I find this surprisingly refreshing. It's very often that people speak in riddles and suppositions and question marks and never say what they mean, and yet she seems to say exactly what she thinks at all times.
She does. There is sometimes a blessing in that.
Has she
Although I do
been?
think that she looks at things a little bit as though they are business arrangements at times. Sorry,
I
you were asking me a question.
I was. I think you may have just answered the question I was to ask.
Oh.
Indeed, the Countess Anskaya is very particular about the way that she sees all sorts of arrangements.
He like raises an eyebrow at you. What about you? Have you no arrangements of your own?
My mother is very insistent that I should have an arrangement with a certain gentleman I had met last summer, who, let's just say that after thinking about it, I don't feel it is a match.
He's sort of making his way closer to you as he like looks around at things. And why not?
Well, you see, I'm sure you've probably heard, but my mother is not necessarily born and bred of Russia and has many French ideas about her, and I think I have inherited some of them.
Oh, French. Well, they're a dastardly people.
I meant no such thing. I just meant that we had different ideas about what it takes to make a good match. That's all. And
Teasing, Vasya.
oh, yes. Well, yes, but my mother has said time and again that a marriage is not merely to advance our fortunes; it is also to advance our souls. And so, I have found that I think my soul would not grow terribly much with the man that I am currently receiving letters from.
Advancing one's souls. An interesting idea. So what would advance your soul, you think?
I am looking for someone who can push my understanding of the world in new and different directions. Of course, my mother would say just read a book and would provide several dozen to choose from to point me in that direction. But she looks down at the Moliere and she says, like in a way that's almost recitation, it's like, I have a heart to love all of the world. And like Alexander, I wish there was yet other worlds so I could carry even further my amorous conquests. She doesn't quite understand the thrust of what she has said, but
Amorous conquests. A noble goal.
Sorry, I was stuck in the recitation. To advance my dreams of experiencing more of the world. I want to see more, experience more, feel more, and.
No, I think I understand what you mean. I recently was told by a young man that I would be the perfect husband because I would sit at home and be a scribbler. But to be a poet is to see the world and translate it into verse, to take one's own experiences and make them universal. So when I do marry, I would hope I would have a partner who would be interested in expanding into the world with me rather than letting me sit at home and scribble in my room.
It appears we are two of a kind on similar missions.
Yes, I think. And he sort of like leans against part of the wall and he's now standing like almost directly in front of you. Seems maybe we are.
And I think that there's just like a very quiet, very tense moment where like I don't say anything and you don't say anything, and we're making some very improper eye contact.
After a while, he does the thing. He like clears his throat a little and says, "I do believe that I allowed myself to be carried away to sit with you for so long unchaperoned. Would it be all right if I wrote to you again?"
Oh, yes, of course. I didn't mean to keep you, but I would be very happy to receive a letter from you.
And he extends his hand, sort of asking for yours. And
she holds it out a little.
Yeah.
Like she tries very hard to make it look like she's doing it like demurely. But you can tell that like she's quivering with like every fiber.
And he takes her hand in his and kisses her just a little too lingeringly on her knuckles and says, I think I'm going to have to disobey my mother on this one, lady. And he turns and leaves the greenhouse.
And she sits prim and proper until she is convinced that you are far enough away, and then just flounces, like slumps and just like squeals and like falls to the side.
Yep. Well, we should probably do reputation now, unless people have another scene. I think I somehow came out of this basically neutral. I didn't really do anything too scandalous or too virtuous. So yeah, you on the other hand.
I might be negative tag.
Baby did a bad thing.
Baby did a bad thing. Baby's bad.
I mean, like I said, if anybody's going to be our Chris Isaac character, it should be you, Serafina.
Hey. Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, so I definitely had to take a negative reputation tag for brazen, because I think that fits.
Well, this is going to be fun.
I'm taking a negative reputation tag of unmoored.
Cool. You guys both take negative reputation conditions.
Yep. I think I might take broke. I think my mom is pissed.
Oh, you're cut off.
I think I'm cut off.
That's probably not good because you were playing Antonin for money.
Yeah. Yeah, it's probably not great. What did you take?
I took Svengali because I think that as a young and impressionable young woman, that a connection can definitely take advantage of my innocence to further their own goals here.
All fine. Doing great.
Yeah. I forgot if like... Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say, it's like, I feel like despite the brazenness that like no one can say anything other than like, well, she's earnest. So
Yeah. I think,
In fairness, yeah, no, it's not.
we all know what she wants. It's just,
So
it's so obvious about it.
We all good on rep?
Yeah, I'm trying to think. I mean, Natalia said a lot of shit.
Natalia did say a lot of shit.
Yeah, I don't know if it's like out of the pale compared to what everyone else is doing. Like she mostly just like it was egging on Vasya to like, yeah, go on, do something. Why don't you?
She got what she wanted.
She got what she wanted. Yeah. I guess like that's not. She did show that she's not like the rest of her family in the sense of like I don't follow what my mom does, but she didn't really make a sacrifice or deny her own desires. I think she'll stay neutral for now.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Alrighty then. Are we ready for 19th century Russia and writing letters?
No, but yes.
But yes.
I think I have a quick one because it's not really a letter. Natalia is going to send Vasya a present. It is a painting. It is a painting by Orest Kiprensky, and it is titled Dreamer. And it's just that.
I'm forgetting Leandro likes to send artist messaging with his characters.
I know exactly what you're saying here. I think that Vasya, maybe not so much.
Yep.
So from the Princess Yelizaveta Nikolaevna to Sergei Maximovich Katasov. When Babette writes in French, she has elegant handwriting, and her French is very old school, super formal and quite actually pretty. Her Russian, on the other hand, Sergei Maximovich,
Uh-oh.
I must say that your position here no longer seems so secure, and I cannot but express disappointment in the letter that you sent, which did not strike me as written by the same man that I met over the summer. I think that if you wish to remain a friend of our family, that you should perhaps consider visiting us, either here or when we return to Moscow. I found you to be an honest, open, and intelligent young man. I trust you will take heed of my words. I have the honor to remain yours, the Princess Elizaveta Nikolaevna Volkova.
Yeah. Yep. Gonna hoist myself by my very own petard. From Count Ilya Ilyich Rostov to the Princess Vasilisa Ivanovna Krasnogodskaya Volkova. Dearest Princess, I call you such because, although we have met in society, I consider you to be the princess of my heart. When I wander in the garden, as I have far too often of late, wishing only to take in the deep, deep sense that I can, in fact, grow something when it suits me, I think of you and of the fact that you would have us both grow things the whole world wide. And my goodness, I can feel my bones stretch out all over the ocean to farther shores, and I can think to myself that perhaps one day I might see them with a kindred spirit by my side. I wish at this moment to apologize for the note I sent you before. I say this because I believe that I allowed myself to become too entangled in my mother's wishes for me, and to not think of what it is that would give my heart the greatest wings. I do hope that you would permit me to call upon you sometime in the next week. And, well, let us just say that I will take the brunt of whatever comes my way as a result. Yours, Ilyusha.
There was definitely more shouting in that household. Gleeful shouting this time, but shouting. Lots of shouting.
Nobody else? What is this?
I might have set the bar at Profess Your Undying Love, and that might make it a little tough.
Is that a challenge?
I should have gone last.
Oh, I know what my second letter is going to be, but
Do it.
I want other people to go first.
I have a letter from Countess Sofia Viktorovna Lenskaya to Princess Yelizaveta Nikolaevna Volkova. Did you actually, sorry, real quick, did you tell the Countess that she could use your nickname? Like, or did you intimate that she could call you Babette?
Yeah, I think I called you Sonia at one point, which is your nickname, so.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so, my dearest Babette, I cannot begin to tell you how appreciative I am of the time that we have spent together this season. The winters here can sometimes feel extraordinarily long and incredibly short. Days will bleed into nights, will bleed into days, and they all look the same, and yet are all infinitely different in such a way that they blend together. But your conversations have brought structure and thought and consideration to my time that I have grown to rather cherish. I find it very serendipitous that we seem to have found each other after all these years when you previously knew my sister. I regret to say that I do not recall much of her mentions of you, if any, or any relationship that you may have had with others to have known. You see, Sveta is, well, I need not explain Sveta to you, because you have known her almost as well as I have. But I find this connection that we have forged to be one that I've come to very much value in these past months. I understand that you shall be returning to the city soon, and that I shall must contend myself with letters. But I do hope that you have a friend here in the country who's thinking fondly of you, and would be only too happy to host you and your daughter again. There are, of course, continued questions of whose daughters will be marrying whose sons and when those weddings shall occur, but if I must weather all of the logistics and all of the chatter and all of the gossip and all of the tasking, I should be much happier to have you by my side as I do it. Sincerely, Sonia.
I don't think we've gotten a letter from Richard yet.
I have not thought of what I want to say yet. So
Okay.
I think I might have another one from Natalia to Stas. I think it goes, Dearest Slava, I want to apologize for the disgustingly hysterical note that I sent you the past week or so. It was a crisis of faith on my own person, and I regret to say that any such lapses, specific lapses exposed to you, will not happen again in the future. And do not expect to hear such miserable ruminations upon my character, at least coming from me. Feel free to hear that from everyone else, especially with what I expect. And if Natalia could do it, she'd insert a wink wonk here in the sentence. Expect that perhaps you'll be quite busy dealing with matters involving your cousin. Hope she's doing well. Hope you're doing well. Honestly, I just hope everyone's doing well. Yours always, Natasha.
Too late to take an insincere reputation tag.
That's the next rep face.
I'm thinking of why I would write to Babette, since I see her every day, and what I would need to write to Babette.
Perhaps you were staying over at Rostov's house for a long weekend.
There's still the issue of what do I write to Babette about?
Well, I mean, you are my gay best friend, so. Do you want to write Babette, Serafina? Please go right ahead.
I do. I just don't know what I would say. Hey, I abandoned my fiance because your daughter's cute. XOXO.
Well,
you seem like a passionate, cool lady.
You could be trying to butter me up again.
Did it work last time?
But does Ilya look like the kind of person who thinks that they should modify their actions if they fail the first time?
That's a valid point. Dear Princess Elizabeth Nikolaevna Volkova. Actually, I do have something that I can do. I thank you very much for your hospitality again, and apologize for the second letter having not received a response. But my mother, the Countess Larissa Valentinovna Rostov, has requested that I invite you and your family for dinner here at our house. She is apparently very anxious to make your acquaintance, having heard much about you from company in Moscow. I do hope that you do not mind my writing you without having asked permission beforehand. I remain Gratefully, yours, Count Ilya Rostov.
Okay, now I can write my second letter. Dear Andrusha, it is the last Sunday of Advent, and as is my custom, I write you at the end of the year to let you know how things have gone with us. You'll find this envelope somewhat thinner than usual. We are spending the winter in the country, as you might remember, and I forgot to pack all the things that the girls made during the year. Of course, they're now at that age when they don't do things just for their uncle. They hiss at each other and write little notes in their albums and wait for young gentlemen to come and draw pictures of them. It's tedious. I remember doing the exact same thing when I was younger. Of course, I had rather fewer entries, but, well, there are still days when I'll see something, a chess puzzle or a scrap of poetry that I meant to send, and I forget for a moment that he's left us. And I know your grief. I know your grief. And I ask every year, and I know every year you stay the same. You are the little squire of your own circumscribed kingdom, and we all accepted that would be the condition of how you would have to live. But I guess you, the end. Will you not come and visit us this year for the holidays? We are so close this time. We are some 30 versts away, and that I am out in the country. I would come to you, but I have the girls and my students. And did you know that of all the people I should meet, I met Sonia Viktorovna? My goodness. Russia is too small. I should have gone back to Paris like I thought about doing, except of course, every time I mentioned it, Louis would stand up straighter and say that he would never return to France so long as that Bourbon son of a bitch was back on the throne. And now that's not even true anymore, but, well, we have other problems. I'll tell you about it if the next time I see you. My children are growing up. They are not growing up the way I hoped they would. I understand now that as a mother, all I can do is hold on, white-knuckled, as if I was racing a troika down a particularly icy patch of Presnitsky Boulevard in Moscow, and pray that through some fortune, luck, and turn of the ice, that somehow we will all end up at a destination that we wanted to reach. I can't live for them. I don't want to. I've seen too many romantic disasters in my life not to have a near constant state of anxiety around them. This is gloomy. It's Christmas. Neither of us believe in anything, except perhaps that this is a time of the year when there's a great commonality of spirit. The stars here are lovely. I stand at them sometimes, and for a moment I forget all these silly human problems that seem to occupy us so much, occupied me when I was older than Vasya, thinking about love and lack. Now, we've both known love, and yet we both feel lack. I love you most dearly, my brother. If you come to us, you will find nothing but peace and love here. And if you do not, I understand. And at the very least, we shall meet on Easter as we always do. Your most devoted and caring sister who embraces you and kisses you as she loves you. Babette. I play dirty.
I've got two, so I'm going to start my first one, which is to Dear Natasha. I read and received with great interest your letter of the previous weeks. I know that you must be very, very busy with your life in the country and your frequent entertainments that you seem to be hosting. It would be lovely to see you on our return to Moscow. Are you going roughly at the time we are? I'd appreciate a conversation with you because, like other people I know, you often discuss ambition. And perhaps it's time that someone explain ambition to me because I don't understand what everyone is pursuing. Yours until we meet, Stas.
I have one more letter, and it will be from Princess Vasilisa Ivanovna Krasnogradskaya Volokova to Count Ilya Ilyich Rostov. My dear Count, I must confess that I have found myself much contented in your company these past weeks. The ability to hear you recite your poetry, to talk of the dreams that you have for seeing the world, to find someone who understands the demands of the heart and soul the way that you do has been truly an affirming experience. I find myself more and more confident every day that I know what I must do with my life, with my heart. I find myself more and more confident every day that I must strike out on my own path, that I must convince my mother that the match that she has set for me has not been the one that will lead me to my best outcomes. I must continue to raise again and again the question of where will my heart's happiness lie? These questions and more have been surfaced for me because of the deep and plentiful conversations that I have entertained with you. I want you to know, dear Count Rostov, that though we are eventually to depart this idyllic countryside, and though we are set to return to the city and return to a different way of living, that I shall hold these lessons dear, and I shall continue to cultivate within me the questions and the answers that they will eventually reveal. I hope that I can rely on you for your tutelage, and I hope that your guidance shall not be lost to me simply because I must travel far and away. Please consider this an invitation to continue writing to me at the address below. I hope to see you one more time before we depart, and I hope that this will continue our correspondence for many, many letters to come. Yours, Vasilisa. The other thing that I want to note is that on the first page, when you hold it up to catch the light, you can see indentations of asymmetric lines of writing to intimate that she is writing her own poetry, but that she is scared to show it to you.
Everything's fine. We're doing great.
I have one more,
All right.
which I will write to Cat playing Antonin rather than Cat playing Babette. Captain Mares, I remain profoundly curious about the conversation we had in the Rostov household about love letters. Since I may take up the writing of them at some point, perhaps you can send me a model. I find that I lack examples of your writing of this sort and would appreciate seeing a master at work. Feel free to bring me these instructive documents on our return to Moscow.
So that actually raises something that I've been noting. Sounds like people are getting ready to return back to the cities. I think I'd like that we have one last novel chapter, which actually, if we are swift, we could do now. Oh no, wait, we got upkeep. I don't know, maybe we'll get it in the countryside, because like we haven't done our winter divination yet, and had Christmas and other fun stuff. But yeah, then I think definitely, I don't know, like the structure of this might hinge on like a return to the city and then come back to the countryside, maybe in the spring instead of the winter. Not sure. That's sort of what I feel, but I'm willing to listen to other people.
No, I think I like that idea.
Okay.
Like a little bit of distance, a little bit of maybe some stuff happens in between.
Although I'm also like super
pro
for winter divination scene.
Yeah, I want the winter divination scene for sure.
Everybody's Superman.
So would that happen?
That happens.
Would that happen in?
It happens between Christmas and Twelfth Night. It's the traditional period to do it. There are many different ones they do, including the candle wax into the cold water. But one of the more common ones is you set up two mirrors facing each other so you get an infinite mirror effect, and you put a candle there and you sit in one of the chairs and you try and look to the very furthest mirror and see what you can see. And, you'll either see, as the song goes in Great Comet, you'll either see a coffin or a man. Everybody sees a man. There's actually a winter divination scene, stanza in Onegin. So
I'm looking through it. Some of them they drip the wax through a keyhole.
Yeah, they got all kinds of interesting ones. It's very true. It's very Russian.
Do shoe races?
So we are in upkeep, which means I guess we should probably do inner conflicts. Sure, why not? And some of us have monologues to do. Those people would be everybody except me and Serafina.
Yes.
I was going to say, do we want to do winter divination during monologues?
Oh my god. You're a fucking genius.
Just a suggestion.
No, really smart.
I'm occasionally really smart.
I'm so excited.
Only on Wednesdays. He saves it up for us.
All right, so yeah, let's winter divinate some monologues.
All right. Yeah, so the only people that need to do, I really want to know.
We're done.
We're done. Oh, right, we handed each other tokens, didn't
Yeah.
we? Oh, okay, so everybody else has to do stuff.
Yep. We have Vasya and Natalia and Stanislas have not monologued.
I will spend my monologue token to find out what question Natasha is bringing to her winter divinations, and how she's and what she believes she's reading in the oracle.
Ooh, I have to get a suggestion on what the divination could be, because I'm kind of looking at an article. I'm like, wait, what happens in winter divination? I guess I should ask, because I'm a bit ignorant of what happens.
So unmarried girls often do the infinite mirror trick to see the face of the person they're going to marry.
Ooh. God. I think she does this. This is done privately, I assume, or is it
usually it's the unmarried girls get together. But
okay,
I can probably do, but like the actual oracle read can be private.
Yeah, no, okay. I think this is like a gathering at at her older sister's place. I think she married a count named Smirnov. and I think it's Natasha and the count's like a younger sister and a bunch of other girls. They're all doing this. They're all quite um apprehensive and all sorts of emotions. I think Natasha I don't think it's that. Okay, I should say I don't think it's specifically that one. I think it's someone else in his family, because he'd be quite old at this point. Um, um, Unless I forget that did we kill him off at some point? I'm just gonna say a Smirnov, maybe not that Smirnov. Um,
He didn't die.
Oh my god! Oh my god! I know he got it. He and Andre were in a duel. I remember this. All right. So yeah, I think so the question is like what question comes up in Natasha's mind as she does the divination, right? I think it's the question that she always asks whenever she does, specifically this infinite mirror trick. The question as she looks in the mirror is, will she see anyone else other than herself? This year, even with marriage, with a kind of marriage looming and not looming anymore, because she's suddenly thrown her spanner in the works for that. Um, this year, she still asks that. Will she see anyone in this mirror other than just herself refracted and reflected again and again and again? And I think this year, maybe she does try to peer through and conjure up someone, anyone. But no, I think it's still resolutely just her. Despite everything, it's still just her, and I think she thinks, huh. Well, I suppose it only really happen if I actually want it, but damn it, I like living only for myself. Despite what presumptions Princess Ivanova might think I have found love before, I've given my heart freely in the past, and every time it's just been sent back, so why not just love for myself? And consider myself above everyone else. At least, or not above. No, that's too lofty. Just put myself before anyone else. After all, who's going to do that for me, if not me? And I think like all the girls ask like what did she see, and I think she'll just say some dude, some lad. I don't know, Valentinovich. There we go. He's a hottie, I guess. But I think everyone knows, like, oh, this is just what Natalia does. She'll just say a name, and maybe there'll be a fling later in the year. But no, wait, no, it's not this year. No, because technically she's meant to be at least pretending to be. So I think when she says Valentinovich, like people are like, ooh, it's not Rostov, it's not Ilya. And Natalia just like shrugs and makes some joke about how there's so many infinite possibilities seen in the mirror that it can't all be just Ilya. I hope that answers the question, at least the monologue question.
Yeah.
Tradition demands that you call the next tune.
All right, I think so. It's either, well, I think no, it has to be Vasilisa, because otherwise then Richard would have to pay. Oh no, yeah, no, yeah. I'll go. Yeah, I think it's
Either way works.
Yeah. No, it's Vasilisa. Otherwise, then Dao would have to pay the token on himself.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I want to know, as this division happens, like, this is kind of like almost like a generic question I ask most folks, but like, what's the end game that Vasya's trying to like see, or hoping to see, as her future? Like, what is like best scenario, what's the happiest ending, that she thinks she'll see, or she's hoping to see, for the near future?
So the way that this one, and I'm gonna take some liberties with the way that this mirror viewing thing probably happens, but I think that in this like very fine house that we're participating in the divination for, they've actually set up two gigantic like full-length mirrors, one on each side of the other, so that someone can come in and like stand right between them and look into the mirrors. And the girls, these girls from our school, some of the country girls who are, you know, in near the estate, have all kind of gathered here, and they're all giggling and talking over their candles and their cider. And Vasya is just reclining in a couch nearby, listening to them like go on and on about like, oh, I think I saw Grigory. Oh, I think I saw Timothy. Like on and on and on about like who they think they saw. And she's waiting her turn, of course, but she just sits there bemused because she's just received a letter from the Count, and she is fully convinced that she knows what she'll see. She's going to see Count Rostov and her in a coach on their way to some far off distant place, walking the coasts in the continent, seeing the fine museums and art in Germany and Switzerland and all these places. He'll read her poetry as they travel down the Thames in France. Thames in France, I think. She'll be there and just lavished by him, drowned in his kisses and his love, and she will make him a better poet, and he will awaken in her all of the things that she knew were in her all along. She will write beautiful verse as well. She will express things that even her mother will have to admit are profound and beautiful and gorgeous. She will find everything that she's been looking for. She's going to do it all with the Count. She's not going to do it with some provincial man from some far off place. And so as it's her time to stand up in the mirror and take her candle and go and gaze between it, all the girls are behind the curtain, laughing and giggling and whispering and shushing each other to hear what it is that I'm looking for. And I stand in front of the mirrors and I look into the darkness, the candlelight pushing further and further back. And a tear rolls down my face because the thing that I see far, far and far and far away is not Count Rostov. And it is not Sergei Maximovich. It is a coffin.
Call the next tune.
All right. Richard, is Stas actually like participating? Oh, yeah, okay. Is Stas actually participating in the fortune telling as well, or is he just kind of here to observe?
Not with his students.
So he's like doing fortune telling somewhere else.
Yeah, he's definitely he's not doing it with his students, since that would lead to inappropriate questions.
Mm-hmm. Of course. Well, so my question is that during the divination, as it is occurring, I think that you probably are not, like, correct me if I'm wrong here, but I think that you're probably not setting your sights on like what man you might see in the mirror or anything like that. But what sign, what omen or portent, what are you looking for to push you toward whatever it is that you seek? And do you even know if what it is that you seek yet?
I think that what I am. So I think as I am sitting there listening to a group of students who are doing their wax divination, like dropping candle wax into like bowls of cool water, and one of the older students is talking to one of the younger students, or is doing this for one of the younger students, and she begins to talk about who the younger woman is going to marry, and then something about marrying an army officer, and how dashing he is, and how very fine and respectable he is, and how he's from a good family. And then he gets a posting to Vienna or Krakow or maybe even Prague. And then you get to go and live in that house, that grand house that he has in his posting in Prague. And I think what all that Stas is trying to ignore, but that he's hearing, is that if Antonin gets married, he's eventually going to use that to leverage a new position outside of Russia. He will eventually get promoted and move back to where he comes from. Does that answer the question?
Okay. Yeah, let's see if the magic works.
And I think, and then he's going to catch Babette's eye and nod at her in a way that suggests, I think it's time for me to go to bed. And then he turns and heads upstairs.
Okay. And my automation worked. I'm very happy. It reset the sheet. It's great. We have a half an hour, and we're on to the next novel chapter. I do not know how to square this circle, but there are several ideas that suggest themselves. We could start a novel chapter and finish it next time, which is not as crazy as it sounds, right? We could try and do that thing we just did last time, which was, we could do some monologue tokens, but we just had a ton of those. So while we treat this as a combination of a split chapter and a visit chapter, we can do a short visit for each of us. But I'm going to and then maybe the next session, the second half of that is us returning to our humdrum lives in Moscow. But I propose you a theme that the visits are surprising in some fashion. I already know what mine's going to be. I think Serafina knows what mine is going to be.
Just gonna lower the drawbridge, so prepare myself.
So, does anyone have a surprising visit?
I mean, obviously.
I don't think I have a surprising. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry, Daryl.
I was just going to say, obviously, the surprising visit for Vasya would be if Sergei Maximovich showed up. So,
which he has been instructed to do.
But Vasya's like in the throes of romance, then she forgot, like, oh, he exists.
Oh yeah, I have an almost fiance somewhere. Oh, he's here.
Would your mama be in that scene as well?
Maybe just to usher them in. Oh God, yes.
Like lay down the expectation.
Would you only usher them in if you have expectations for what's going to happen in that visit?
No, I'm too polite. I'd usher you in no matter what. I figure one way or the other, this needs to happen. So I guess I just come into the parlor and like, Sonia, we have a surprise visitor. Sergei Maximovich, please come in. Allow me. I will go. Oh, the samovar is unaccountably gone out. I will go and see to this as fast as possible. And I scurry.
You see like the camera, like Vasya was facing away, and like the second we had an unexpected visitor, like her face just brightens, and then it's like Sergei Maximovich, and just it like the color she blanches, the color goes right out of her face, and she rises and turns as gracefully as possible and says, Sergei Maximovich, I was under the impression that I would not see you until we returned to Moscow. What a surprise. Did you have a good Christmas?
You will excuse me. I believe I owe you an apology. My letter was very, very abrupt.
My mama has done
Will
her
you
best to
please
convince
forgive
me that it must have been written by a secretary or something. Indeed, it did not match in tone or subject any of the conversations we had had previously. It was indeed written by a secretary or something of that nature, yes?
My father can be a very insistent person.
I see.
He is old-fashioned and set in his ways. And so you will forgive me for, in your absence, succumbing to his suggestions. Please forgive me. Will you not forgive me? Please.
Sergei Maximovich, please, I do hope that you understand that your letter made many intimations to dates and events that I am not ready to just act upon. I certainly hope you have not come here to spirit me away to a wedding in merely like 2 weeks' time.
Of course not. No, not at all. I have clearly to my father that we will respect your wishes and of course, your mama's wishes. But I do think it would be a salve to my own soul if I may speak clearly about one particular matter.
Well, you have come a very long way, so of course you must speak your piece, and I must hear it. It is the least I can do.
You are truly gracious, Princess. And he sinks to one knee. I would like our understanding to be formalized. I would like very much to know that you, who are truly the most gracious and beautiful of all the women I have met, I want to know that you will agree to be my wife. I have no right to ask, much less to demand, but I am going to be bold and ask anyway. Will you marry me? If you need time to think, I of course understand. But I would like to have more than an informal understanding with you. I would like to know that what I feel for you is reciprocated.
If you want to do a cutaway, Daryl, that's totally okay.
Well, and I was going to say, I have already shown that I am a very dramatic young woman. So, Richard, I will give you a resolve token for me to faint right now. Like full on faint. Yes. Just hit the ground.
Full on. That is beautiful. I will take that resolve
Babette
token.
opens the doors and comes running in, clearly being way closer than you would have thought.
That took approximately 0.5 seconds.
I was totally not listening outside the doors.
I have managed to try to leap up to assist you and catch you, and have managed to only stumble so that I'm caught on my down on one knee position, awkwardly.
So, I have a suggestion for a surprising visit for Natalie. It would be if Ilya actually showed up.
I'm into that. I'm into it. Let's do it.
Okay. Yeah, all right. Oh, let's do this.
And it's a parallel, right? We have an unexpected visitor. And he comes into you have like a sitting room place that you usually receive guests kind of thing.
Yeah, it's the same one that I received, the one with the big ridiculous family portrait, which I think I mentioned. Yeah, does have my older sister in there. So it's 4 of us.
Has he ever called you by like a familiar name? Like, has he ever called you by a nickname? Do you think?
I think so. I think like I get the sense like they do understand that like they don't love each other, so there's an understanding there.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So he comes in and he, kisses your hand, greets you,
Mhm.
makes much over the new decor, blah blah blah. Something
Mhm.
compliments you, does all the social things.
Mhm.
And after you take your first couple of sips of tea, he says, "I have not come here idly."
Mm. Well, that's a shame. I would have hoped that we could be idle together.
I recently had a conversation with a young man who revealed to me that the ways that men use women can be quite obscene.
Hmm.
And it made me feel rather less like my fellow man in that I think many of the men of my acquaintance venture further towards treating women as pawns, chess pieces, things that we can move around while we benefit so greatly from the privileges of birth.
Hmm.
I say all of this because I respect you a great deal, and I respect the understanding that has come to grow between us.
Mhm.
And then I hope that you can understand why I might wish to be released from that understanding.
Well, first, I'd like to say that whenever I appreciate the sentiment you've expressed, Ilya, I do want to I do want to intimate that in our time together, I've not felt in any way a pawn or a piece in your machinations. In fact, I did believe you're a bit above machinations, which I greatly respected. And I suppose I understand that this was a possibility. If I may ask, the young woman who spurred this action on, I think like Natalia's like always kind of has a smile as if to say, I'm not owned by anything. I refuse to be owned by anything. If that's okay."
Mhm.
She's kind of like leans back and just gonna say, "The young woman who's spurred this possibility. Tell me what she's like."
If you would believe it, it wasn't her.
Hmm.
I realized that all my talk of poetry had kept me at somewhat a remove from my own feeling, strange as that is to say.
Oh, that's
And
not
then,
uncommon with poets. I know. Most of the time, I feel they fall in love with their own voice, rather than actually using their voice.
so I have fallen prey to a common predilection, it seems. I realized I had been alien to myself. And when I drew closer to me, I realized that I wanted more from a partnership than what you and I were able to cobble together. Which is not a judgment on either of us, I do not believe.
No, I think we're quite upfront that it would have been a means to live comfortably. But I
Well,
suppose comfort's more than you want.
comfort is not the sort of place where I can nurture growth.
Well, I can understand the want for that. Sometimes you seek out growth and, well, sometimes you get spurned, but I pray that not happen to you, Ilya.
So we'll still be friends.
Well, what does your mother feel about this choice of action?
Oh, she has cut me off.
I suppose I do find it fascinating that she is gung ho for this. When there's certain more reputable women out there who perhaps have not tarred themselves with the taint of past immorality.
I think you do not understand quite how high you have climbed in the esteem of our community.
That's amazing. I'm not even sure I even tried that much. So,
does
Yeah.
that feel like
Yeah.
a cut line, or?
yeah,
It could be, yeah.
I think I will pause
I
that.
know I don't want to cut you guys off, but
No. I think that's a good spot.
Yeah.
Stas, do you have an idea for a surprising visit?
I have an idea for a visit, but I don't have a surprising one.
Well, what's the visit?
I was just going to go talk to Babette.
Okay, maybe we can make this surprising. Sure. Babette is probably in a parlor wringing her hands, like, Vasya, Stas, what's wrong?
Do you have a minute?
For you, always.
You look troubled.
I'm always troubled, my friend.
Are you troubled about something in particular? Anything I can assist with?
Just the act of being a mother. It's draining. Stas?
Vasya, then.
Of course.
Yes.
How
May
are
I
things
ask what
with...
happened?
She might be engaged. I'm not sure. No one's really sure. Per Sergei just stood in the outer hall for an hour or so, and then finally went off to go back where he's staying. I feel for the poor man.
I do worry about that man's capacity to handle Vasya.
Yes, well, that is a problem for another day. Stas, how are things going with your young man?
What I came to see you about.
Is something wrong?
No, but, well, I have the advantage of a understanding aunt.
Yes.
And a position that is, well, not immune to scandal, but certainly redirects where people look.
Yes.
I'm sorry?
But Anton is a foreigner and far from home.
Is a foreigner and far from home and ambitious. And
No.
I think you know what ambitious men are expected to do.
Too well. I've been meaning to talk to you about this. Louis' family are Rhinelandish, Half of the family speaks French, half the family speaks German. One half is a Beaubourg, the other is a Schönburg. But some of that territory is in the Kingdom of Prussia, and there are still a few of his family that talk to him still and don't blame this Baba Yaga from the steppes who pulled him away and caused him to abandon the true faith of Rome, or whatever it is they yelled at him the last time. But as I said, some of that is in the territory of the Kingdom of Prussia now, and so he has some connections. If perhaps a position for your young man could be found, then I'm sure I could also find a family for you who would need a tutor. Not that I am trying to push you out of my life, Stas. Quite the contrary. You've helped me so much. But...
May I ask you another question then?
Yes.
How does one come to an understanding with the person that your lover is marrying?
She sinks to the couch. That is generally a very difficult thing.
I am intrigued by difficult problems, but I fear that to Antonin, this is a problem that I need not worry about, because we don't need to have an understanding. We just need to have secrets.
Well, I'm given to understand that if one could find a woman like you who also needs an understanding, that is probably the most felicitous way to make this arrangement work. But if you're asking me how it can be done, I can only say that the example I know ended in horrific sorrow and shattering of the lives of 4 people.
I would strongly prefer there not to be any shattering of lives. I don't mind breaking hearts, as long as they are, well, hearts that have fallen for me. I do not want to break someone else's heart over their I don't want to be kept a secret, and I don't want to keep secrets from someone that I must be around, who should be aware.
I
have never cared about him seeing other men, but in marrying a woman, that is very different.
It is. Stanislav, I will give serious consideration to these matters, but I beg you to allow me to think about them on another day.
Of course.
Thank you. So you've done nothing wrong, my friend. I'm weary with age.
Worried that I should check on Vasya.
Would you be so kind?
I cannot promise that I will talk sense to her.
Oh, it wouldn't matter if you did.
Good, because I never have before. And I'm beginning to wonder if I've been a terrible influence.
Never. I feel like that. She looks up with her eyes shining, and that can be our cut line. If I can beg everyone's indulgence for another 5 minutes, I think we can get this in, Serafina. So I think it's that night. And Babette is sitting in one of the living rooms that has an icon prominently displayed, which is not where she usually sits. And she's just kind of sitting on the couch, talking to her husband out loud, going, "Oh, Louis, it has all gone completely wrong as usual. I don't know where you are." That can be your cue to walk in.
Am I walking in as the brother, or am I walking in as Ilya?
Walking in as the brother.
Okay, great. I'm like, wait, which person am I meeting with? Yeah, I don't know. I'm Andre. Great. Oh, sister. You do sound troubled.
She slams into you with a hug.
My goodness.
What are you doing here?
You'd think I'd been gone for years.
You have been gone for years.
What, do I need a reason to visit my beloved sister?
No, never. I'm just surprised. Normally I have to drive 60 versts out to your estate for Easter dinner.
Well, this time I've driven to you.
Oh, Andre.
What's wrong?
The children.
Oh, always. Well, I've brought you a present that may help.
It's not traditional to give a present on an Orthodox Christmas.
Well, you'll forgive me for being non-traditional.
You're the most unorthodox man I've ever met.
And he snaps his fingers and a servant comes walking in from the hall. He hands you a bottle of glorious red French wine, and a small volume. It's a history, something I thought you might enjoy.
Thank you.
And maybe it will teach you something about how to run your unruly children.
If you have read any of the historical articles on the War of 12 in the Russian Courier by, which one did we use for that one? I think it was Vladimir Antonovich. Well, Vasya has decided to make her love life as messy as any that we concocted when we were young.
Oh, goodness.
But what pains me is how little I can speak to her of some of my actual fears.
Mm.
I want so desperately for her to have something safe to hold on to. Andre, you were in the country, you probably didn't even pay much attention, but, well, you know, Louis, when the French seized the territory his family lived in, he was happy. You know, he was a supporter of the emperor as long as he supported the revolution. And it wasn't until he butchered 2/3 of his men coming here to me. Thank you. Thank you. We both owe Napoleon a great deal of thanks in the end.
A little bit.
You know, the kind of officers that he spent time with, they were his friends. They were men like him who had seen Europe, who were not opposed to all the ideals of the revolution. And, well, you probably don't remember when Tsar Alexander died and Nikolai became Tsar. There were officers who didn't want that to happen, who tried to make his brother Constantine the Tsar. And then, you know, they were shot on the Senate Square in Petersburg, and thank God Louis was not in Petersburg that day. He was with us out on the country estate. And he was never part of all that, but he knew people.
He did.
He was friends. But the long and short of it is he was arrested that week. And for 6 or 8 weeks, I didn't see him. And then for some 6 or 8 months, we both assumed that we would be going to Siberia. Do you know who saved us? You'll never believe it. You will hate it when I tell you.
I am preparing myself for hatred.
I went to General Vladimir Vladimirovich's.
Oh, my dear Lord.
He was so pleased to see the friend of an old comrade in arms.
He's pouring himself a drink as you explain this.
And of course, you know, he killed like 1 million Turks and Frenchmen during our wars, so the Tsar was pleased to listen to him, and so Louis did not go to Siberia, and I don't know what I would have done. I probably would have gone with him, and I don't know what I would have done with the girls. Or poor Nikolai, his career is, we're lucky he was able to get into the regiment he got into. Anyway, Louis now serves at his Imperial Majesty's pleasure.
He does.
He must do everything possible to pay back how this great mantle of suspicion was shifted from us. And I can't speak a word of this to the girls. I can't speak a word of this at all. Anything we do that reminds people of what we were, the foreign girl and the foreign man who dares to claim the title of prince as if he was of the blood of Rurik or something. It's all ridiculous. Prince doesn't mean anything. Peter created everything wholesale. I'm sorry. This first time I have seen you at Christmas in 25 years. And this is what I am talking to you about.
I did not come here expecting that you would be all sunshine and roses.
Well, I'm supposed to be the kind one, remember?
You are the kind one.
How are you?
I'm worried for you. I do not like the idea that your position could be so perilous as to be upended by the wrong social connection or the wrong...
Well, If Vasya
statement at
had
a party.
if Vasya has a good match, then any of our worries are alleviated.
How messy is the love life?
Not quite you and Boria messy, but possibly you and Vasya messy.
Ah, well.
Not the same angle. Thank God.
Pours another drink.
So you should meet my Stanislas. My dear Stanislav. He's a tutor here. He has exceptional taste in young gentlemen friends.
Then yes, I should meet him.
I mean, I may be a broody old mare, but I can still kick a little.
Listen,
Andrusha, are you staying with us?
would I have traveled all this way to simply leave again?
Yes, possibly. You've done that kind of thing all the time.
Well, I am turning over a new leaf in my old age.
Well, then we will have a room for you in Moscow if you want to come back with us to the city.
Oh my goodness, the city. Well,
And it's different, they rebuilt it after they burned it down around me.
yes, I would hope so. Otherwise, we would be staying in a small ramshackle shack.
Not that it should be me who is the one to say it to you, but that suit, we're going to have to do something about this. It's been 25 years, Andre. We've all moved on.
Have we?
Well, and fashion-wise, yes.
Well, I live in the country.
I
I
know.
have horses. I don't do fashion.
Perhaps I'll send you Stanislas and his young man, and they'll take you around.
I would not say no.
Ha ha. Ha ha. The old stallion can still kick a little too, eh?
There's nothing wrong with my eyes. Or my heart, or a number of other body parts.
I don't know what you wanted to do, but if you ever wanted to, of course, Boris could be buried next to my father and my mother on that estate. I know you liked it so much.
And he reaches out and kind of cups your cheek in his palm and says, "See, you are still the good one."
No, I'm the kind one. You are the good one.
Agree to disagree.
And she just hugs you again. It's like, we are not to be separated for quite some time, is what I think.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
Yeah.
let us go see your niece and see if your appearance will suddenly make her brighten up again. She got proposed to today. I mean, I think she did. I'm not exactly quite sure how things played out.
Well, my appearance does make the hearts of many women leap and then drop off again. So we will see.
But as well that we were foster siblings,
Yes, it was.
All right. Thank you for indulging me.
No, that was fun.
Cool. So that was fun, guys. We'll finish this novel chapter next time, possibly in Moscow.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll have expected visits since we did the unexpected.
Yeah, we'll do. Yeah. Saw that coming.
I never thought of doing thematic good society chapters, but it's like this is a smart idea.
Yeah, they kind of link up. It's nice.
I'm gonna ponder this one.
Yeah, that's good.
Good night, everyone. We will see you all next week for the next exciting portion of this. Boy, these people are messed up.
Dear
I'm
Babette,
the gay
I
friend
was
you never
very
had.
gay. Thank you so much for loving me. I'm still very gay. Gaily yours.
Oh, that was
Stop.
Andre's letter to her.
Fair. That was a very,
Gaily yours.
I might make that in my outgoing
Gay
email
Stas.
signature. Gaily yours. The Queen, ladies and gentlemen.
How is anyone supposed to follow that?
I don't know. That's why I wanted to go late.
I'm done, so I don't have to follow that. So.
I'm misty. I can't.
And I believe we have Richard on the phone.
We do.
Hi.
Hi, welcome to the show. Is this okay for you, Richard?
This works for me.
All right, great.
I
It's
waved
better
hello
than-
like an
it's better
actual
than-
dingus.
I also waved.
I'm touched. I'm very touched. But I just never, I can't see anything. I mean, I can see in front of me.
Well, then, you'll just have to wait until the episode comes out and be awed by the spectacle of the video production.
To research who was in charge of Bohemia.
It
in
was
the 1830s.
the Crown of Bohemia was in personal union with the Habsburg Emperor, is the short answer.
I'm sure the Crown of Bohemia was really, really excited about that.
Yeah, I don't remember what it's called. The Crown of Hungary is the Crown of Saint Stephen. That one I just happen to know.
Right.
Cat ramen, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you. Yes. I was actually talking about Jeopardy the other day with my other group, and I pointed out that I've met some of the other champions, and they're people that I could only beat with a stick.
Everything's fine.
Everything's fine. Hey, it's about time me and Richard had one of those.
I can't see. Did we just make Venus speechless?
Yes. The more tickled with glee, I think.
It's good. I love it when you guys flirt. And Kat had to take a sip of water, so just, it wasn't just me.
What can I say? I'm good at playing closeted 19th century gay men, I guess.
It's like a weird niche, but we fit into it really well.
Yeah.
It's good. It's good.
You may recall how hard I seduced you in that other game we were in. Will you come?
I'm still not okay about it. Yep.
Look, we've got two things going for us in this game. First, I used a different theme music. Always a good sign. And second, Richard's character and my character are friends.
That is always nice.
That's
always.
I figured it out. That's the sign of a happy ending.
That's the sign
Like
of a
when
happy
our
ending.
characters are are friends, then usually we get some sort of happy-ish.
I'm like, oh yeah, that was depressing. Oh yeah, that was depressing. Of everyone in this room, only one person has tried to poison all of us.
And then now we've agreed to not all is forgiven. We're moving past that now.
Imagine if the next generation just repeats the sins of the.
I haven't had enough therapy.
I have promised not to try to poison anyone, okay?
Jesus
To be fair, poisoning has not happened. We've only ever alluded to it. It's been a couple of years. So
Yeah.
okay.
Oh, but that makes you my gunkle.
Gunkle. As Richard's gunkle, I approve. I do. It's the
Uncle
cats.
Andre.
Gunkle Andre.
Oh, gunkle Andre.
Actually, the word for uncle in Russian is dyadya.
That's close to gunkle.
Yeah.
It sort of sounds like you're gargling a marble.
Which
Either
means
one.
that in Russian, the name of the play is Dyadya Vanya.
Yeah, Giovanna.